All right, here we go. I hope I'm live and I hope everyone can hear me. So I've got no way to confirm that you guys can hear me. So yeah, please do let me know. I mean, I can hear myself if I will check, but third party feedback is always appreciated. All right, guys. This is Kushal Shishmali. Welcome to my stream on Buffet Codes. It's a place where I prefer doing every kind of development, whatever I had wished for. So that's what I'm doing live. Okay, and one of the targets was to understand Rust and try to get better at it. While we are at learning Rust parts, I just thought I'll stream so that everyone gets to be a part of it, right? And they can also maybe learn a lot from here, right? So what we want to do today is probably go through this, right? So we had done unrecoverable errors with Panic, right, in the last stream. So if you have not already, you can go to my YouTube channel and see what we have discussed. So that's also one thing you can do, right? All right, here. So I think we did talk about result enum as well because we talked about you can panic, which is essentially just aborting the program and with an error message that you want. You can also have result enum and you can handle it your way, right? You can have it return a custom error message as well, or you can say that okay, if it was passing, that means if it was of okay variant, you can do something. If it was of error variant, ERR, you can do something with it. Okay, so let's say for example here they talked about that you're trying to open a file, right? And it clearly states that file open hello.txt, you are given a type annotation of U32, which is unsigned 32, right? Expected U32 but found enum result, right? Because it returns result and there you are expecting type 32. And really good part about this is that it says expected due to this, right? It's not saying that hey, I expected U32 and found enum result. That's not it. It is also saying that because of what, right? Because of what did expectation occur? It's because of the type annotation that you had here. Now this says the return type of the file open function is a result enum, right? So what you can do is instead just do this, let f equal to this, and now we can match because this is an enum. That means you can match with an okay variant and error variant, and that will work for you, right? So you can do okay if it was a file, then you can return a file. If it was some error, then you can panic with a custom error message, that problem opening the file, and then you can pass the error. Okay, if it exists, right? If they have this convertible function from whatever variant to string, then it will work for you, right? All right, so what do we have now? Note that like the option enum, the result enum and its variants have been brought into scope by the prelude, so we don't need to specify result scope operator before the okay and error variants. That makes sense, right? So you don't need to include anything into the scope just to access both of them. So when the result is okay, this code will return the inner file value out of the okay variant, and we then assign that file handle value to the variable f. After the match, we can use the file handle for reading or writing, right? Exactly. So here we had f as something else, which is a part of like an object of result enum, and here we are just matching f with either okay variant and error variant. So I think that's enough of it. Now matching different errors, I think we did see about it, right? So here you can have error. Now this error can have, let's say this error is not exactly on the error you want to raise, right? You want to again match it with some different kind of errors that it can have. So you can do .kind, and it will either return you not found, which is, so this is particularly with file open hello.txt, right? That you will get a not found error. It's not necessarily that you will get an error with 1 plus 2 is not found, right? So error kind not found. So again, this looks like an enum to me. Then you have not found if it's of that type. Okay, then what do? You match again by calling a command file create hello.txt. Again, this will return a result type for you. If it's okay, then you just return whatever the output was, right? And if it was not okay, then you panic, problem creating the file. So what they basically do is that, okay, if the file was not opened successfully, then see if it was not found, right? If it was not found, create it yourself, and if you couldn't create it, let them know that problem creating the file, else just return the object whatever you had from file create, right? And then you have other error as well. That means just anything else, then problem opening the file, other error. Okay, just pass it here. That's it. So the type of that file open returns inside the error variant is IO error, which is a struct provided by the standard library. This struct has a method kind that we can call to get IO error kind value. Okay. So this struct has a method called .kind that will return you IO scope operator error kind, which is provided by the standard library and has variants representing the different kinds of errors that might result from an IO operation, right? So the variant that we are using here is not found. Exactly. That's it. So the condition we want to check in the inner match is whether the value returned by error.kind is the not found variant of the error kind enum. If it is, we try to create the file. However, because file create could also fail, we need a second arm in the inner match expression. When the file cannot be created, a different error message is printed. The second arm of the outer match stays the same, so the program panics on any error besides the missing file error. Okay, by the way, just to confirm, this could have been, okay, so this could have been anything. It doesn't need to be other underscore error, okay? It's just the way they wrote it, so you can have it something else as well. So that's a lot of match. The match expression is very useful, but also very much a primitive. In chapter 13, you will learn about closures, which are used with many of the methods defined on result enums. So these methods can be more concise than using match while handling result values in your code. For example, here's another way to write the same logic, okay, using unwrap or else. Yeah. So you see this, that's what they're doing here. Let f equal to file open. If unwrap or else. So if it can be unwrapped successfully, then okay, unwrap it. Else, whatever error you got, you check whether the error kind is not found. Then you try to create a file. Then again you unwrap or else. If you are able to unwrap it, that means if you're able to get the okay variant, then you proceed, or else you raise an error. Yeah, you panic basically. Right, and there you have, if error.kind this fails, then you panic. So although this code has the same behavior, it doesn't contain any match expressions and is cleaner to read. Come back to this example after you have read chapter 13 and look up the unwrap or else method in the standard library documentation. Many more of these methods clean up huge nested match expressions when you're dealing with these errors. I mean, we can do it now, right? Hey, let me do this, right? So okay, first of all, let's try to write this code, okay? Just to get some hands on programming now, because it will be good for all of us. CD programs, projects, let's do mkdir streams. I think I already have Kashimali, mkdir streams, and let's do mkdir rust, mkdir dx. I forgot the day count, right? Error handling, okay, cargo new error handling. Right, here you go. I hope you guys can see the terminal, okay? If not, do let me know, right? I mean, even if you're watching the recording, please feel free to comment, okay? And guys, don't hesitate to say hi, or even please subscribe to the channel, by the way. I know I don't say it that often that I should have said it, but I would just appreciate that we can, yeah, I mean, follow. So first of all, what do we want to do? We want to open the file. So let's say, of course, I don't have hello.txt in my, if I do, so you see there's no hello.txt here, right? And what do you want to do? So you want to match it, right? And how will you match it? Let, so instead of doing let f equal to match, right, we can do that. And that means, so here you're matching f with what? Okay, a file, okay, and then you can have error. So by the way, this could have been anything, okay? You can have it this way, but then in that case you will have to write it here as well. Okay, so just for information, sorry. Yeah, now if it was error, what will you do? You will match again error.kind, and you will do error kind dot no, not other, let's do not found, okay? And what you can do here is okay of fc, then you return fc error whatever, and you can panicking. Hey, is the spelling right? No, of course. Okay, I'll just skip this spelling. Sorry guys, not a native English speaker here. All right. Right, so this is done. Right, this looks good, and then we can have other error. That means that you can just do other error and you can return that here. And I guess this is it. There's some problem with this expected semicolon. Where did you expect a semicolon? Here, not found. Why? Oh, I put a, wait a minute. Yeah, this is right? You cannot put a semicolon there. This looks good to me. They just had a comma here, which doesn't make sense right now. It looks good to me. What is wrong? Nothing seems wrong as such, except the fact that, yeah, this looks right to me, right? Oh, you need to create again, right? You can't. So of course, right, if you didn't find it, then you need to create it again, right? File create, and then you do hello.txt, and that's it. Now what are your problems, sir? Match arms must have incompatible types. That's okay. Now because of this error, I guess that's what they're saying. So we can do panic problem, and you can do all right. Everything is fixed. Cool. So is it an unused error? Yeah, unused variable, right? And then you can do something with it. All right, so that is it. Now if I do cargo run, okay, I need to install it, and never mind, we can do cargo run here. Sorry, there you go. So it works, right? Even though it says that it is unused for now, but that it works. Now what they're saying is that you could have done this in a different way. So let's try it. Okay, so we can do let f equal to, now instead of matching, we can do f dot unwrap, or else here, right? If you couldn't, then you found an error, right? I think that's the format. That's how you should do it. Okay, can I please do this? And can I please do this much better? Right, so what they're saying is yeah, you can do this unwrap or else on f, and you can have error, and then again you can have a function associated with it if you what you want to do right here. There you go. Now you can check if error dot kind, sorry, if e dot kind error kind, so you see we have not found, an entity was not found, other of a file, yeah. And then you can create hello.txt, and then you can do again unwrap or else, right? Again you can have error, right? And here you can do panic because you got an error problem creating the file. That's it, right? That's it, everyone. Sorry, this is good. Yeah, right, and that's it. We can put an else condition here saying that panic problem opening the file. All right, that's it, we are done, right? Again, this will be coming as unused, but this works, right? So this compiles successfully, and that's what we wanted to know about this particular set of code, right? All right, so I think it is probably, understood. Okay, let's go to his documentation if you guys want, right? There you go. So unwrap or else, okay, fail to read cargo metadata from cargo.toml, okay, fail to write this, fail to open this, sure, because they're trying to write it on in my documentation. We'll have to fix that, by the way. So it says returns the contained OK value or computes it from a closure, right? So if it had an OK variant, it's going to return you that. Okay, so basic usage is very simple. Suppose you have a count function which takes a string and returns the length of it, right? Converting it into a, sorry, the return type is usize, and it returns the length of it, right? Now you can check If it was okay, so you can wrap to around this okay variant, right? And you can do unwrap or else and pass the content count over there, right? What that will do is, if count returns if count returns an okay variant, wait a minute, what is this? So self, okay, so count on okay of 2. If that returns you 2, then this test is gonna pass. Similarly here, count on error of foo, if that gives you okay variant or error variant. So that depends. If it is of error variant, you can handle it differently. But for now, this is okay, right? It's gonna return you 3. Cool. Because here that's what they're doing. If it was okay, oh I see. So if it's already okay, it's gonna return you that value. Okay, if it's of error variant, it's gonna call that function on the given string. Okay. So unwrap is simple, right? Oh, of course, right? So unwrap is doing what? If you have already an okay value, so they are not gonna do anything with it. They're just gonna return. So that's what happened here as well, right? We were doing f dot unwrap or else, right? And f was okay. Let's imagine. Then it's just gonna return you f. Okay. If it was not like okay, then it's gonna call that function whatever you have for this value f. Okay, then that means that it was an error. Now what do we have? Okay. So we have done this. Now we can expect as well. So I think I've talked about it, that you can have your own custom error message and add it to panic message, I guess. So shortcuts for panic on error: unwrap and expect. So using match works well enough, but it can be a bit verbose. Okay, sure. So you can do dot unwrap as well. That will return an error if you get an error directly, right? So similarly, the expect methods lets us choose a panic error message. Exactly. Using expect instead of unwrap and providing a good error message can convey your intent and making track down source of panic easier. The syntax of expect is like this. Okay, you can do file open and just do dot expect field to open hello.txt. That's it. Deva73, thank you so much for following. Yeah. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. I'm sorry for the late response on that, but if you're here, please say hi and let me know that you're here. I'm sorry. So we use expect in the same way as unwrap to return file handle or call the panic macro. The error message used by expect in this call to panic will be the parameter that we pass to expect rather than the default panic message that unwrap uses. So unwrap uses the default panic message, whatever you had, right? But if you want a custom error message, because it makes your tracking easier, because now you know that you wrote this message, so you can go to your file and see where have you written that message, right? So sometimes it's really easier. Now you can also propagate errors. I think we have seen it that you can, instead of doing anything about it, right, with the error, you can just return the error itself, right? So for example, we had opened the file. You can do let mute f equal to match f. Again, if it was of error variant, you can just return the error, right? In an error variant form, right? And then you can say that f dot read to string ampersand mute s. If it was okay, then you're gonna return s, whatever we had here, error e, and error e again. Okay, let me read Deva's message first. No problem. I follow you on Twitter. Okay, but got the notification of these streams for the first time. That's strange. Is it right? I'm so sorry. I don't know. I don't really like tweet with an intention to advertise any of these things, but I tweet because it's worth it for the followers. I mean, not that people follow me, right? Not a and quote unquote follow, but that we guys are in a communication on Twitter by following each other. Like if you're doing that, then it's my responsibility to let people know that what I'm doing. So I just tweet it. I wake up every day 6:30 a.m. Last 2 days it has been difficult, but I'm back at it. So that's what I'm doing here. Thank you so much, by the way, for the follow. I think this keeps me going. We are on 52 followers now. So we are going ahead. Nice. Let's go. All right. So let me continue, right? Do let me know if you have any questions, and I'm welcome again. Thank you so much for following and your message as well. Right, so this is interesting because what they do is they store the error in F as well, because now you cannot open hello.txt. Let's imagine. Then you got an error, which is of probably not found error, right? Then you got the error again. So this F is not of, is of variant error. Now you do let mute s equal to string new. So you create an empty string. Then you do f dot read to string. Okay, so okay, all right, you're trying to convert f to a string, right? That means you opened a file, you're trying to convert all the content to a string, right? And that's why it is ampersand mute. That's why you're taking it as reference as well. Now if it was okay, then whatever this returns, you return s, because this has been modified now. Is it okay? And then you have error e, and then you just return e error. That's it. So now what will happen? Read username from file. Oh wow. So it's trying to read a username from a file, and it returns a result enum again, right? Because match f dot read to string, this whole will return a result enum for you because it's either okay or error, right? And you have string, either it can be a string, because here you go, it's returning a string here, right? And then you have IO error. Let me write it down. All right, so what do we have? We say let f equal to file open hello.txt, right? And then you have let mute f equal to match f, and if it was okay, then you say okay file, whatever file you have. If it was error, you can return error. There you, oops, there you go. Now you can have a string, and you need to make it mutable because we are gonna add some stuff to it. Let's create an empty string. By the way, Deva, let me know if you cannot see the screen, if it's too small for the font. So yeah, I can increase the font. So what does read to string do? So read all bytes until EUF in the source, appending them to buffer. So whatever you can do, just pass a buffer to it, right? And it will append all the bytes it has read into this buffer. If successful, this function returns the number of bytes which were read and appended to buff. Okay, all right. That's it. There you go. So you can do ampersand mute string and ampersand mute self. You're already doing it. So if the data in the stream is not valid due to a fade, then an error is returned and buff is unchanged. All right. So we can do this. Ampersand mute s. It's good. Okay. All right, Deva. Thank you. Now, if it was successful, you can just do OK of s. That means whatever string you had. So because by this time it has appended already, right? So that's good. And error. Now for those people who are wondering why did we write a match for it, right? Let me tell you this thing. See the thing is, okay, wait, what's the warning? What's wrong here? This looks right to me. I think we can ignore the error for now, right? See what is happening over here. Okay, if we were not defining something with if we were not doing match here, then what does read to string return? It returns the number of bytes. Okay, so we don't want that, right? We want it to return as the string. Then we can do match directly here, and we can say okay, then return an okay variant of s, right? And that's it. Okay, I think I should define it in a function. That's why it was raising an error. No method named read to string. Okay, for struct file in the current scope items. Oh, I need to, okay, sorry, yeah, I need to do this. So you can do use stored IO, and see how that's how you have multiple imports, right? So from in Python you could have done from std.io import self comma read, for example. Here what you will do, you will do this. And error kind is not used anymore, so we can get rid of it. Self is not used for now. Yeah, I agree. That's it. And what is up with error? What's up with error, sir? Let mute f equal to this. Mismatch types, unit type this. So we had a unit type, is it? This doesn't look wrong to me. Let's try to run it. Expected this, found enum result. So it expected it expected me to do this. Why? When that is not done, right? I want an error here. Is it because I could have avoided the... No, this is not... It does it work now? No, it says match arms have incompatible types. Okay. This is found to be of type file. Expected struct file found in result. Okay, result. I see. So that's what it means, because here you're returning a file and here you're returning a result. I think they must have talked about it here. This function can be written in much shorter way. This means that the function is returning the value of type result, t, e, where the generic parameter t has been filled in with the concrete type string and the generic type e has been filled in with the concrete type IO error. So I think if this function succeeds without any problems, the code that calls this function will receive an OK value that holds a string. So it's talking about this whole function, by the way, right? If this function encounters any problems, the calling code will receive an error value that holds an instance of IO error. I think mostly it's because what return type they have it here. I don't know. What if I do this? I want to fix it. Yeah, I match arms have incompatible types because of here. Okay. If I do return, and then it says expected a unit type. Weird. Okay, so we'll have to see what can be done about it. Not very sure. Alright, so the body of the function starts by calling file open function. Then we handle the result value with a match similar to match in listing line 4. So if file open succeeds, the file handle in the pattern variable file becomes the value in the mutable variable f, right? So that's what it does, right? If it succeeds, that means it's of an OK variant. Then you return the file to f. That's okay. If in the error case, instead of calling panic, we use the return keyword to return early out of the function entirely and pass the error value from file open, now in the pattern variable e, back to the resulting code as this function's error value. Can I show? So do I need to pass the... I don't know what to do here. How do I do union? Okay, let's leave it for now. Okay, we'll see that what's happening later on. Okay, but it's important thing that we need to clear out. By the way, does it work for them? Let me run it. No output, right? It works for them. Maybe because they have this result string IO error and I have it in a main function, that's why. I don't know. Or maybe because... Okay, let's see. Let's try to copy this. And paste it here. Get rid of this. Yeah, it's still an error, right? But what if I had a function, let's say username, whatever they had, result string IO error, and if I do this, so it works in the function, but it fails over here. Sure, if I would have gotten rid of C. Okay, yeah, I know it's kind of weird. So in the main function it fails. Sure, because you don't have the return type mentioned as result string IO error. That's really weird. I need to figure this out, guys. So yeah, we'll probably ask someone who is really good in Rust. All right. So we use the return keyword to return early out of the function entirely and pass the error value from file open. Now in the pattern value variable E, back to the calling code is the function's error value. So if we have a file handle in F, the function then creates a new string in variable S and calls read to string method on file handle in F to read the contents of the file into S, right? So that's what they're doing right here. So doing read to string, if it was okay, then return the S, because by this point S has already all the contents in the file that has been opened. That's it. And if it was error, then you just return the error as an error variant. Alright, so this pattern of propagating errors is so common in Rust that Rust provides a question mark to make this easier. Yeah. So here they have done this, right? For example, let mute f equal to file open. Sure, you did that. Then you do let mute s equal to string new. Sure, done. Then you do f dot read to string. You pass the string over there and you can do question mark. So the question mark placed after result value is defined to work in almost the same way as the match expression, right? So let's see what is equivalent to. So it says if the value of the result is an OK, the value inside the OK will get returned from this expression. Okay, sure. So if it was successful, it's going to return you whatever the value inside OK was, right? And the program will continue. If the value is an error, the error will be returned from the whole function as if we had used the return keyword. So the error value gets propagated to the calling code, right? Here we had used return error E, right? So that's how it's propagating. There is a difference between what the match expression does and what the question mark operator does. So they are saying the way we have handled everything is different to how the question mark operator will handle it. Error values that have the question mark operator called on them go through the from function defined in the from trait in the standard library, which is used to convert errors from one type into another. So when the question operator calls the from function, the error type received is converted into the error type defined in the return type of the current function. This is useful when a function returns one error type to represent all the ways a function might fail, even if parts might fail for many different reasons. So suppose you wanted to convert that error to a different kind, then it should have implemented a from trait, right? And in that they should have a from function. So we'll talk about traits and all, right? So maybe they will probably do it. So as long as there is an impl, that means implementing from trait for the given type for return error, okay? And that's it. To define the conversion in the traits from function, the question operator takes care of calling the from function automatically. So we'll see, okay? Don't worry about this. So in the context, the question mark at the end of the file open call will return the value inside an OK variable to the variable f. If an error occurs, the question mark operator will return early out of the whole function and give any error value to the calling code. Makes sense. Alright, so this is done. The question operator eliminates a lot of boilerplate and makes this function's implementation simpler. We could even shorten this code further by chaining methods. Yeah, they can directly do this, right? File open hello.txt. This returns you the file. Then you put question mark here. Then you do read to string into mute s. Then again you do question mark here. So we have moved the creation of the new string in s to the beginning of the function here. That part hasn't changed. Instead of creating a variable f, we have changed the call to read to string directly onto the result of file open. We still have a question mark at the end of the read to string call, and we still have an OK value containing the username in S when both file open and read to string succeed, because that's you're doing here OK of S. That's what you return. So when you do OK of S, what happens is that means you're returning a result variant. Either it can be a string if it is OK, or it can be an IO error, right, if it was not OK, because that's what it's gonna do. Here, there you go. All right. So reading a file into a string is fairly common operation. So the standard library provides the convenient fs read to string. There you go. That opens the file, creates a new string. Oh, what? Okay. So what was this all this time? Oh, so they had this read to string in fs file as well, and then they had read to string in fs as well. Is it in the namespace? Sorry. So reading a file into a string is a fairly common operation. So the standard library provides a convenient fs read to string function that opens the file, creates a new string, reads the contents of the file, puts the contents into that string and returns it. So of course using fs read to string doesn't give us an opportunity to explain all the error handling, so we did it the longer way first, right? All right, makes sense. So where the question operator can be used, the question operator can only be used in functions whose return type is compatible with the value question mark is used on. So this is because the question operator is defined to perform an early return of the value out of the function in the same manner as match function. So we saw that if it has an error, we don't do any error handling and all, we just return the error. So that's an early return, right? So in listing 96, match was using a result value and the early return arm returning an error e value. The return type of the function has to be result so that it's compatible with this return, right? Makes sense. So let's look at the error we'll get to use if we use the question mark here in the main function with a return type incompatible with the type of the value we use question mark on. Now this will give you an error. It says cannot use the question mark operator in a function that returns. Oh, so that's why it was happening. So because because this was returning, this returns unit, right? So we returns this, okay? So that's why we got this error that incompatible types. If you use it in a main function, it will not work. So this code opens a file which might fail. The question operator follows the result value returned by file open. But this main function has a return type unit, not result, okay? So when we compile this code, we get the following message. This function should return result or option to accept question mark. So this error points out that we are only allowed to use the question mark operator in a function that returns result, option, or another type that implements from residual. So they have this from residual trait. To fix the error, you have two choices. One choice is to change the return type of a function to be incompatible, to be compatible. Okay. The other technique is use a match or one of the result t, e methods to handle result variant in whatever way is appropriate. The error message also mentioned that the question mark can be used with option values as well. As with using question mark on result, you can only use question mark on option in a function that returns an option. Okay. So the behavior of the question mark operator when called on option t is similar to its behavior when called on result. Okay, let's see. So if it's sum, then it returns the value that we have it in sum. If the value is none, then none will be returned early from the function. Makes sense. So here they have last character of first line. So whatever text you will provide, it will give you the last character of the first line in it. Okay. So it returns of type option, right? And it can be a char if it was found. So you can do text.lines. Okay. Then you do dot next. And there's a question mark here if they have it. And if whatever the chars they have, they return last. That's so much. So this function returns option of char because it's possible that there is a character there, but it's also possible that there is not. This code takes the text string slice argument, which is, there you go, ampersand stir, and calls the lines method on it, which returns an iterator over the lines in the string. Makes sense, right? So it's just like splitting with /n, and then it gives you all the lines, and you get the first line, right? And sorry, last line. You do next, you question mark, and then you chars. And then you do last. Wow. Now because this function wants to examine the first line, first line, yeah, so that's what it does next. So it calls next on the iterator to get the first value from the iterator, which makes sense. Now if text is the empty string, then that means you cannot find any characters, right? So this call to next will return none. Okay, so this will return none if it was an empty string, in which case we use the question mark, here you go, to stop and return none from the last char of first line. If text is not an empty string, next will return a sum value containing a string slice of the first line in text. Wow. So the question mark operator extracts the string slice, and we can call characters on that string slice to get an iterator of its characters. And again, we do dot last. So we are interested in last character, so we call last to return the last item in the iterator. Makes sense. So this is an option, right? Because it's possible that the first line is the empty string. For example, if text starts with a blank line, yes, but has characters on the other lines. However, if this is a last character on the first line, if there is a last character on the first line, it will be returned in the sum variant, right? If you couldn't use the question mark operator on option, we would have to implement this logic using more method calls or a match expression. Note that you can use the question mark operator on a result in a function that returns result, and you can use the question mark operator on an option in a function that returns option. So this is very important. You can use question mark on a result if the function is returning result. Okay, you can use a question mark on an option in a function that returns option, but you cannot mix and match. Okay, so the question operator will not automatically convert a result to an option or vice versa. Okay, so in those cases you use methods like OK method on result or the OK or method on option to do conversion explicitly. Okay, so you can do dot OK and it will convert it into an OK variant. So far all the main functions we have used return unit. The main function is special because it's the entry and exit points of the execute programs, and there are restrictions on what its return type can be for the programs to behave as expected. So luckily main can also return result unit comma e. That's what I'm looking for exactly. Oh, so if I wanted this to work, I can just do result unit operator comma e. There you go. And if it's all okay, then you can do this okay and pass unit so that you know it's of result type, and that's it. So box dyn error type is a trait object, which we'll talk about using trait objects that allow for values of different types. For now, you can read box dyn error to mean any kind of error. So using question mark on result value in main function with the error type, this is allowed because it allows any error value to be returned early. So when a main function returns a result, the executable will exit with a value of 0 if main function returns OK, and will exit with a non-zero value if main returns an error value. Okay, so executable return in C return integers when they exit. Programs that exit successfully return the integer 0, and programs that error return some integer other than 0. So Rust also returns some integers from executables to be compatible with this convention. Right, that's why they do it. The main function may return any types that implement the stored process termination trait, because you know what they want is, even if you change the return type, you want the main function to return an integer 0 if it was successful and to return non-zero if it was not. So as of this writing, the termination trait is an unstable feature only available in nightly Rust, so you cannot yet implement it for your own types in a stable Rust, but you might be able to do it someday. Now that we have discussed the details of calling panic or returning result, let's return to the topic of how to decide which is appropriate to use in which cases. Alright guys, last sub chapter and then we are done for today, right? Not a lot, so hold on with me. So to panic or not to panic. So how do you decide when you should call panic and when you should return result? So when code panics, there is no way to recover. You could call panic for any error situation, whether there is a possible way to recover it or not. But then you are making a decision that a situation is unrecoverable on behalf of the calling code. Yeah, that makes sense, right? Suppose you just want to say, hey, I cannot do anything about this error. You have to handle it, right? You have to fix it yourself and make sure that this error doesn't occur. But let's say if you want to fix it for them, like for example, here we did, right? Because let's say if they are not open, they don't have the file yet, then we can create it for them, right? So that's what they're trying to do here. So the calling code could choose to attempt to recover in a way that's appropriate for a situation, or it could decide that an error value in this case is unrecoverable, so it can call panic and turn your recoverable error into an unrecoverable one. Therefore, returning result is a good default choice when you're defining a function that might fail. So in situations such as examples, prototype code and tests, it's more appropriate to write code that panics instead of returning a result. It's more appropriate to write a code that panics instead of returning a result. Let's explore why, and then discuss situations in which the compiler cannot tell that failure is impossible. So we have something here, examples, prototype code and tests. When you're writing an example to illustrate some concept, also including robust error handling code can make the example less clear, right? An example is understood that a call to a method like unwrap that could panic is meant as a placeholder for the way you would want your application to handle errors, which can differ based on what the rest of your code is doing. Similarly, the unwrap and expect methods are very handy when prototyping before you're ready to decide how to handle errors. They leave clear markers in your code for when you're ready to make a program more robust. Interesting. So they just mean that they make it, they make your code readable. They also tell the other people who is reading the code, that's what we're trying to do here. Instead of doing a lot of match expressions and all, maybe sometimes those are the things that you will have to go for, but maybe in the future, right, when you're ready. So if a function call fails in a test, you'd want the whole test to fail, even if that method is not the functionality under test. So because panic is how a test is marked as a failure, calling unwrap or expect is exactly what should happen. Cases in which you have more information than the compiler. So it would also be appropriate to call unwrap when you have some other logic that ensures the result will have an okay value, but the logic is not something the compiler understands. Okay, you still have a result value that you need to handle. Whatever option you are calling still has this possibility of failing in general. Okay, let's look at this, right? So for example, we have let home IP address of type IP address equal to the string dot parse dot unwrap. If you can ensure by manually inspecting the code that you'll never have an array variant, it's perfectly acceptable to call unwrap. Okay, so here it's sure that's never gonna fail because you have it hard coded for you. So we are creating an IP address instance by parsing a hard coded string. We can see that this is a valid IP address, so it's acceptable to use unwrap here. However, having a hard coded valid string does not change the return type of the parse method. We still get a result value, and the compiler will still make us handle the result as if the error variant is a possibility. Okay. Because the compiler is not smart enough to see that the string is always a valid IP address. So if the IP address string came from a user rather than being hard-coded into program, therefore did have a possibility of failure. We definitely want to handle the result in a more robust way instead. Right, so it's up to you. So the guidelines of error handling have been given here. I don't want to go deep into this. Creating custom types for validation is good. So let's take the idea of using Rust type stream system to ensure we have a valid value one step further and look at creating a custom type for validation. Okay. Yeah, we'll do that later. I'm done for today, guys. I don't want to read more and more theory today. It's too much for an early morning thing. Alright, guys, that was it for today's stream. We did around 48 minutes of stream and we did good amount of error handling today. We almost finished the chapter, which is good. This video will go out today on my YouTube channel. I mean, not today, but probably tomorrow. Right, so that's how I'm doing it. Yeah, if you guys are here, you want to chat about something, you want to say hi, please do feel free to do that. Sorry, please feel free to do that. What did cargo.toml have? Why does it? Oh yeah, Rust edition, right? Not. Cool. Well, I wanted to do some bismuth today as well, but looks like I will not have a chance. Maybe we'll do it tomorrow morning, right? I'm not sure how much do we have left with all the streams on bismuth. I think we have a lot to do. With Rust, I'm not sure because very soon it becomes complicated and it becomes, what do you call it? It really gets philosophical because we're reading about a programming language. It's all philosophy. Yeah. I really like Endeavor OS. It's stable, right? And KD is nice. Oh, you can do this as well. So you don't need to. Wow. I didn't know about it. That's cool. What is. Alright, guys, I'm gonna exit. Thank you so much for staying here. Whoever was here, thank you, Deva, for the follow. Again, if you're here, not sure if you're here now. But yeah, I'm gonna exit now. So that's my exit strategy. That's it. Alright, thank you guys for staying. I hope that we see ourselves very soon. I will be doing a work stream probably in an hour. We'll see. I'm not very sure. I have a few things to discuss with my parents and that's it. Do I want to change a wallpaper? Do I want to do that? No, because it doesn't have any. Come on, man. Show me some really nice wallpapers. No? It's loading more. Which one? Which one? Existing one is okay. Let's not change. Alright, guys. Thank you so much. That was it. This was Kushash Mali on Buffet Codes with 52 followers right now. Awesome. Bye.